We are cooperating, I think, in the interest of our states, in the interests of the Commonwealth, in the interests of the world.
The Kremlin's red flag was lowered for the last time. People in this country, said Mr. Gorbachev, are ceasing to become citizens of a great...
Military parades, some of the most popular and common events in North Korean Republic, presenting a great weaponry and country status, but is it really what we should see or what they want us to see? Kim's dynasty has been in power now for about 60 years since the start of Korean War in 1950. Kim Il-sung, then Kim Jong-il, and now his son, Kim Jong-un, one after the other. They're all so-called great leaders. They are responsible for ruling and controlling the country and their citizens, in the ritual sense of this word. However, for most of all, they're the ones who protect North Korea from US hostiles, who in their opinion want to invade them. Each of them belongs to the same party, which hasn't been changed because there was never any re-election. For many of us, it may sound like an absurd, but historians interpret it as a stopping in time.
Taktyczno-operacyjna, starannie wyczyszczone i wymalowane, oby nigdy nie służyły do innego celu niż defilady.
After Stalin's death in 1953, when Khrushchev came to power, the atmosphere in the region started to change. The KGB and other government agencies reduced their surveillance activities, and people started to speak about the party more freely. They also stopped executions and had shorter prison sentences so people could return to society. They also made minor changes to the economy so that it started to improve the level of people's lives.
To ja na przykład staram się pokazać to, że można nie być homofobem, można być otwartym na świat, na inność i tak dalej.
They realized that to stay in the league of other nations, they had to become competitive. By the beginning of the 1970s, they started to open up stores where anyone could purchase Western goods. They also started to purchase larger things such as cars. All these things helped to contribute to the end of the Soviet era.
However, when we take a look at North Korean, Kim's government doesn't seem to adapt any of those elementary changes. What people get instead is a belief that outside is much worse from what they have now. The government's propaganda is only one thing which keeps regime alive. The streets of Pyongyang and other North Korean towns are full of posters that are meant to raise people's spirits by saying that they won't be told what to do. Using violence and phrases such as "we will kill Americans" or "we will take our revenge on you," the government tries to brainwash their society and blame everything on America, even if it's not true.
Ukrywałem, że mam problemy z kontaktem z ludźmi i tych znajomych, których mam, to oni wiedzą, jaki jestem. Ale samotność mi nigdy nie przeszkadzała, bo ja przez większość życia byłem samotny.
전방의대를 떠나시는 경애하는 최고 사령관 동지를 눈물 속에 따라서
Bardzo mocno, wbrew pozorom, bardzo mocno mi pierdoli. Tak totalnie, ponieważ kamera się w końcu wyłączy na koniec tego programu. Ja wstanę, wyjdę z tego studia i autobusem wrócę sobie do domu.
못해서 멀리 떨어져 있지만 혁명의 진지이며 군인들의 삶은 당의 핏줄과 이어져 있다고 하신 경애하는 김정은 원수님의 그 말씀 소중히 간직되어 있습니다. 경애하는 김정은 원수님께서는 바닷물 속에 뛰어들어 한숨 돋치는 군인들과 군인 가족들이
사모 2호기 위성 발사 성공.
The government doesn't want their citizens to have any contact with an outside world and tries to keep them as isolated as possible. The government explains it as all that comes from the outside now are only bad things and there's no better place than North Korean Republic. In other way, it's all has got to do with their main principle called Juche, which is basically being self-efficient.
The USA and UN forces have joined South Korea to stop North Korea doing this and to stop them starting a war or taking over any land. Until the 80s, the North Koreans would do trade with the Soviet Union, who would supply them with energy and food. But with the demise of the Soviet Union, that no longer exists. And the North Koreans are now have nowhere to turn for their energy, and this leads to blackouts.
The great leader's visit at supermarket may look like the food crisis is gone, but not for society. In real life scale, only party members and higher class people have access to those products, because they can afford them. The rest of society lives by growing their own food, because otherwise the only thing that there is left is death. Going short on food meant that around 1 million people have died in starvation. The country is unable to feed their people. Almost all these groups, the scheme of travel is the same. They're being located at the hotel which is based on the island. Then they visit the central Pyongyang and walk around Kim Il-sung Square. From there, they usually travel to the demilitarized zone, which is on the border with South Korea.